everyone and welcome to my channel. So today it's time for an art journal video, and when I realized that I have actually finished an art journal, I thought it was time to do an art journal flip through. I started this journal in 2018, then I have been working in some other journal in 2019, and the rest of the pages are from this year 2020. So there's a year gap in between. But anyway, this is the square journal by Ranger, the Dilutions Ranger book, and it is filled with quite a nice thick cardstock paper. So, in the beginning I have a lot of pages. Let's see how far up until here. All these pages are, I have no clue what's underneath, because I have covered them all up with watercolor paper and painted in it now just the last few weeks. And that I do sometimes if I find pages that they are, I wouldn't say bad, but they are uninspirational. I can't even remember the original idea I had for it, and there's nothing there that I could work on or develop further, then I don't hesitate to paint over it and change it, simply because when I open my art journal, for me it needs to be a place of inspiration. Now sometimes I will also leave bad pages in, or unsuccessful pages, if the idea behind it is still there, because then it can still be inspirational, for something else. So I only cover it up if there's nothing there for me to work on. And of course, since it is my art journal, I'm allowed to do whatever I want in it. But anyway, so first spread here, I have an old card that I was actually meant to be a Christmas card. I really like the idea, but not how I executed it. I don't like these weird ray of sunlight that comes out of it, but because I still like the idea, I want to save it, so I glued it in here to have as an inspirational idea for a future Christmas card. This in an Inktober drawing from 2018. I didn't like how it turned out, but I really like the idea and the composition of the three birds, so that is also why I glued it in here, so that I still have that original idea behind it, to inspire me maybe for a future painting. And then we have a quote. And then we have two fantails, one of the first fantail sketches or paintings I ever did in March 2020. And on the other side we have a seagull, also painted this year. I really like the idea of this one, but the format is a little bit weird. I was imagining like a landscape format, very little paint, and then just the lonely seagull sitting on the sand with just a tiny bit of a shadow under him. So I painted him too big for that long landscape portrait that I was thinking of. But again, I still like the idea, so maybe I will one day execute the original idea that I had, and this will remind me of that. Then we have, I don't know why it's upside down. Oh yes, now I know. I did the background first, and then when I wanted to glue in the bird, the barn owl, when I tested out different, I realized that I like it like this more than the other way around. So this is an idea for a barn owl painting that I had a few months back. And then we have a New Zealand bird. This is a Tui Honey Eater, and this is also one that I am in the process of painting in oil. Silver eyes, they are eating apples as we speak down in my garden, and I want to make a painting out of it, but I was unsure of how I wanted the background to be. So when I don't know, I have the idea, but I don't know exactly how I want to execute it, then I love to come into my art journal and just try out different ideas to see if that, if I by that can decide then how to go further when I actually paint it on canvas. And here I prefer the simplicity of this one, but I really like the colors and the movement of the background in this one. So I'm guessing that the painting will be somewhere in between. Then we have some seashells. These you can probably remember from last week's video. Then I have some succulents, just trying out different things and different paper. This is on hot pressed paper, and these two are painted on cold pressed paper. And I don't mind this more abstract painting, but I really did enjoy painting on these succulent on cold pressed paper. And then we go back to 2018. So here is just an idea for a swan sketch. I have many more of similar ideas or sketches like this in this book. And this was just a landscape idea inspired by Finland. This is also from the Inktober sketch. And a watercolor idea I had. And more watercolors. And this was also direct from the Direct Watercolor Challenge. And this is painted with watercolor on gessoed paper. And I really like, the abstract abstractiness or the abstract aspect of these two paintings. I haven't turned them into paintings yet, but one day I will, because I really like the colors and I like I don't know, I just like them. Here are again also a direct watercolor challenge that I did back in 2018. A barn owl. Then we have some sketches of a barn owl I did because I was unsure of how I wanted the background to be, so that is why I painted my barn owls on a separate paper so that I could cut them out and then play around on different backgrounds to see where they succeeded or where they looked the best. But then when I copied them, made a photocopy of them, I really thought they looked almost better like this, so that is why I wanted to save that and just glued it in here in my art journal. And then some anemones. Then I have a recent oil sketch. This was actually two paintings that I did for Inktober, and I used acrylic ink for it, but it looked weird, but I still like the original idea, just not how I had done it. So to save, or you could say, so to save the sketch, I just painted on top of it with oil, just to get the colors a little bit closer to what I imagined for it. So that were 2 or 3 oyster catches. One more. Here, instead of placing the oyster catcher on a cliff, I placed it in the water, and an eider. And these are also for Inktober 2018, both of them. And I used acrylic ink to make, to color them in. Also Inktober, two landscape, one on watercolor paper and one here on gessoed paper, just because I wanted to see how the ink would react on the different surface. A poem, and then a small sketch from a song thrush. Again a poem or a quote, and then we have some swimming swans. And here are more of that idea that I had with swans on a field. And here was just trying out different ways of how to, where to place the horizon and different ways of painting the backgrounds. And these two are done in watercolors on gessoed page. And then I have this one, and this is done with acrylic. And I really like how the colors, how the background looks, but for some reason I still prefer this more transparent look of the watercolors. So this will probably turn into bigger watercolors. I have tried it already, but I wasn't totally happy with them, so I need to do that again. But the ideas will forever be here too, so that I can get inspired from them. Then we have acrylic on this other set, acrylic on this page and watercolor on the other page. Seagull, just trying out some ideas. Flying swans. And then I have old paintings that I redid or that I had an idea of that I wanted to redo. So this is just me trying out a different background for the birds that I painted quite many years ago. And this is acrylic again on gessoed paper. This was something I think this is a watercolor video that I did a while back. And I did, if I remember correctly, I did 2 of them, but this one I really liked on cold pressed paper, so I glued it in here. And another swan, this time with watercolors, and this one became quite exactly like this in oil painting, not too long ago. And here again, one of the sketches I did with the barn owl, and here you can see this is one of the photocopies of my sketches that I just glued in, just to see, you know, the colors and the background, how I wanted to do it. Then these are just watercolor, abstract watercolor backgrounds that I glued different birds on to see how I wanted to use them. And more of the swan ideas, and this one I don't have anything on yet. I just wanted to experiment a little bit with acrylic inks and then add some crayons on top of it. Here we have some watercolors by Advocate, and now we are, I think from here on, only sketches that I have done this year. So do 2 different compositions with the pied apple sets, and then I did the same but with oil colors. So this is oil on gessoed page. And then I have 2 more of the barn owls, and here again I was planning, or I am planning, a barn owl painting, and these were just 2 ideas that I had for how to, you know, what bird to choose and how to do the background. And then we have 2 pages where I painted in acrylic, so a raven and a wren. And then these 2 pages are painted in oil. This is a shrike and a loon. Then we have a pukeko, or Australian purple swamp hen, and this is a fantail, both from my own photos that I have been able to take here in New Zealand. And then these you saw also in a recent video where I tried to come up with a design idea so that I could print out on coffee mugs and the like. So I have four different pages here with the same bird, just to, you know, to see how I would like to do that background. And then the last 2 pages are these 2, and these I really like, and I am now in the process of painting these as a proper painting, so to say, that I can do or make into coffee mugs and such. But that was it, my whole sketchbook. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this short flip through of my art journal, and then I will see you next week again with part 2 of painting in oil, the landscape I started almost a month ago. So that was me for this week. Again, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye.